Hello and welcome to the July 2022 Lunar Mansion Magic Guide. I'm Nate, aka Post-Muggleism, and this is my channel. In this video, we're going to discuss all the viable Lunar Mansion elections for the coming month, and I'm going to share some tips on how you can modernize the Lunar Mansions, meaning how you can interpret the qualities or powers of the Lunar Mansion talismans from a modern context, since descriptions in the Picatrix can be quite archaic and confusing. If you're new to my Lunar Mansion series, welcome. After the video, when you're very impressed with how great this content is, please do remember to click like and to subscribe to my channel so that you get notified when I post new videos. You can also find me online as Post-Muggleism on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to my Substack at postmuggleism.substack.com for lots of articles on topics across the magical universe. As always, all these links and the links to the presentation I show in this video and all my notes on potential Lunar Mansion elections for each day of the month and timestamps for each mansion are included in the description below the video. Thanks for watching. Now, on to the good stuff. Each month I try to drop a little knowledge about Lunar Mansions, like tips on making Lunar Mansion talismans or fun details about mansion lore. This month, I'll cover a few new mansions in detail like I did last month, but I have also included a couple of minutes about how to interpret mansions to the lens of modern life. That content is up first, so if you want to skip ahead, click the links in the table of content below the video. Our primary source of information on the tropical Lunar Mansion system is the Picatrix, which is confusing to say the least. Many of the extremely specific uses of Lunar Mansion talismans and mentions do not make any sense in a modern context. Not many of us spend our time besieging cities, and acts which cause destruction or separate a woman from her rightful husband would be considered inappropriate, to say the least. So what can we do with these Lunar Mansions then? Well, we can apply our personal ethical framework first. We can think in themes and categories rather than in these hyper-specific outcomes. And we can modernize the language that we use to describe the qualities of the Lunar Mansion so that it makes more sense for us. For example, the malefic mansions are ripe for recontextualization and modernization. So let's just start with this. Say the fourth mansion of Aldebaran. It is home to the malefic star Aldebaran, and this is one of the most intensely destructive mansions. If you're going to wage a war, this is the star to start it under. However, for more practical concerns, since this mansion is all about inflicting absolute devastation upon the enemy, perhaps we could soften it for use as a victory talisman with an extremely benefic astrological configuration, like a conjunction or trine with Venus, who happens to rule Taurus, a sign that Aldebaran calls home. Or the 14th Lunar Mansion, Simak, is another example. Simak is weird because it is home to Spica, which is a very benefic star, but has a malefic sounding effect on talismans, the separation of men and women, per the Picatrix, Book 4, Chapter 9. To make things more confusing, Book 1, Chapter 4 of the Picatrix assigns the 14th mansion to the love of man and wife, so Spica clearly goes both ways. It's safe to say that the Virgin, Virgo, decides the fates of lovers, and Spica weighs in heavily on the matter. Relationship magic in general seems feasible in this mansion. Even a few of the benefic and neutral mansions are fairly obtuse and can be confusing. The 17th Lunar Mansion, Iklil, for example. The most mischievous mansion, Iklil, is located in the head of the Scorpio, and has big mercurial trickster vibes, and is said to protect against thieves who enter into the house and plunder it, according to the Picatrix, Book 4, Chapter 9. But Book 1, Chapter 4 includes the quality of improving deception that it go well, which suggests that it rules thievery and criminality in general. In a super relevant modern context, this mansion might be perfect for anti-establishmentarian and protest protection magic, for example. The 28th Lunar Mansion, Batn, a rightfully popular mansion for prosperity, is hyper-specific and requires a little interpretation to appreciate. This Piscean mansion is said to be good for congregating fish in one place in the Picatrix Book 4, Chapter 9. However, in Book 1, Chapter 4, it is described as being for increasing merchandise and harvests. In its contemporary culture, an abundant catch or harvest translated to wealth, as does increasing merchandise because you sell more. So this mansion produces prosperity talismans. The Lunar Mansion system appears fairly limiting if you take it at face value. But let's remember that our primary source of information is just a few pages towards the beginning and the end of the Picatrix. A system with such obvious complexity didn't materialize into our corpus of magical knowledge with these hyper-specific qualities alone. In fact, it's more likely that the sources the Picatrix draws on, or probably copies directly from, were limited in the way that they documented the system, which left the majority of its mysteries unexplored for centuries. Here are some helpful guidelines for experimenting with lunar mansions beyond the bounds of the Picatrix. First, generalize the mansion qualities into broader categories like love, sex, prosperity, conflict, healing, etc. Then compare both Book 1, Chapter 4 and Book 4, Chapter 9 from the Picatrix for inspiration on each mansion. And if the mansion isn't all good or bad, i.e. it's a neutral mansion, then it goes both ways according to the lunar phase, waxing or waning. And the mansion's fixed star largely determines the power of its talismans, so check that star's lore to get a deeper understanding of what the mansion is about. Now it's time for the main course, all the Lunar Mansion elections for July 2022. This month, these 4 mansions present, in my opinion, the most interesting and attention-worthy elections. First, on the 4th and 5th of July, Simak, a mansion of separation, offers opportunities to make healing talismans to remove illnesses with a powerful trine to the north node. Next, on the 8th, Qalib, the 18th lunar mansion, offers protection from pests and harm and is boosted by the illuminating light of the sun to send all the creepy crawlers scurrying away. On the 15th, the 26th lunar mansion, Fargh, Awwal, has a whole lot of love to give with an extra sexy trine to Venus in play this month. Finally, on the last day of the month, the 31st, we get our second chance at the 13th lunar mansion, Awwa, in July, heating up this hot, sexy time mansion with a trine both to combustible Mars and the ravenous north node. Watch out, folks, don't do anything I wouldn't do. Just like last month, I have reordered the way I'm presenting the elections now, going through each mansion rather than each time zone, and all of the elections in each of the time zones are listed at the bottom of each slide. If you don't see one in your time zone, you can just skip ahead to the next mansion, as timestamps are included below the video. PST is the only time zone to get this first crack at Awwa. Everyone else has to wait until our second chance of the month on the 31st. Awwa, whose image is a man desiring to couple with a woman, is by far the most sexually charged mansion. However, it is also a very benefic mansion for many other reasons, associated with increased profit and harvests, safe travels, favor from wealthy and important people, strong and sturdy construction, and other positive traits. Basically, if it can grow or is erected, it gets a boost in this mansion. The star is Zabijaba, the spirit is Jezeriel, and this month it is trine the north node when it conjuncts the ascendant mid-morning on the 4th of July. Simak, the 14th lunar mansion, is an unusual mansion whose image is a dog with his own tail held in his mouth, and it seems to suggest wasted energy chasing your tail, or at least highlights the futility of this chase. It is also partly associated with destruction of several varieties and danger to travelers, but then also medicine and healing, so it's a decidedly neutral mansion with confusing characteristics. The mansion's fixed star, Spica, is well known and beloved for its benefic properties, and since mansions typically take after the stars they contain, it would usually follow that the mansion would be benefic as well. However, according to the Picatrix, fixed stars and constellations in astrology, and Brady's book of fixed stars, the powers of the Virgin Virgo can make or break love. And since this mansion is attributed both the ability to bind people together in love and to drive them apart, it is both positive and negative in this respect. Virgo is associated with Dike, goddess of justice, and Spica is the ear of wheat she holds in her left hand. Dike's legend suggests that she fled to the heavens after becoming so offended by the sins of humanity, centered around war and violence, that she forsook us. Spica represents her benefic side of gifts of abundance, but perhaps in this case we can also see the vengeful side of the winged angel Virgo manifesting in the last mansion in this sign. With the waxing moon this month, this mansion is appropriate for love, healing, and strengthening allies and friendships. The spirit of this mansion is Agariel, and 3 of the 4 time zones featured in the video, PST, EST, and AET, all have suitable elections on the 4th or the 5th of this month, each featuring a trine to the north node. Iklil, which translates to the crown, straddles the end of Libra and the beginning of Scorpio, and is associated with protection from thieves, improving deception, protecting sailors at sea, as well as questionably relevant matters like besieging cities. The energy of this mansion is a bit devious, and it seems to rule criminality and deception as a whole, rather than focusing exclusively on preventing them. But this is the way with many mansions. In most cases, whatever the mansion rules, it can either promote or suppress equally. In modern times, the spirit of this particular mansion could be the perfect ally for anti-establishmentarian types, activists, protesters, subversives, etc. Anyone trying to break the law and get away with it should consider talismanic magic in this mansion. Likewise, anyone concerned about lawlessness, and especially loss due to theft, should also seriously consider working with this mansion for the opposite reasons. 2 lesser-known stars, Beta and Delta Scorpii, reside within this mansion. Its image is a monkey holding his hands over his shoulders, cheeky monkey, and the spirit is Adria. Only CET time zone has a viable election for Iklil this month, in the afternoon of the 8th of July, when the waxing moon trines Mercury, which seems very fitting on the ascendant. The 18th lunar mansion, Qalib, is another protective mansion, albeit more destructive than Iklil, and having more in common with Aldebaran as its fixed star. Antares is essentially directly opposite Aldebaran on the zodiac. Its placement on this axis suggests an inherently violent and malefic nature, but its attributions include aiding in the construction of strong buildings, freeing captives, and driving away venomous snakes and other pests. Of course, the Picatrix also assigns it the powers of promoting sedition, conspiracy, and vengeance as well, letting us see its darker side. This month, the elections in this mansion feature a trine to the sun, which perhaps can help illuminate the dark crevices in which dangers and evil might hide, revealing their conspiracies so that we can drive them out. The waxing moon further counteracts the malefic tendencies of this mansion, so in this case, its more positive qualities are on deck. The mansion's image is an adder, a snake, with its tail held over its head, which is to say a coiled, venomous snake ready to strike. The mansion's spirit is Egebiel. PST and EST time zones have viable elections in this mansion in July, in the afternoon or evening of the 8th. Predictably, the mansion associated with the stinger of Scorpio is not a very nice mansion. Its talisman is puzzlingly associated with causing the blood to flow from a woman, referring to menstruation. I say puzzlingly because it is not readily apparent what this has in common with its other qualities, namely besieging cities, taking towns, driving men from their places, according to fixed stars and constellations in astrology. Causing blood to flow may refer to any sort of blood flow, from violence or even from childbirth as indicated in the Picatrix Book 4, Chapter 9. This represents a loss of lifeblood, or the resources that sustain life. This loss of potential matches the theme from Book 1, Chapter 4 of the Picatrix, which says, make images to besiege cities and to do whatever else of this kind you wish, to destroy the wealth of whomever you please, to expel a man from a particular place, cause captives to escape, to destroy ships, to separate and destroy the riches of allies, and to kill captives. Of course, this chapter also confuses the issue by including improve the lots of men traveling by wagons and to increase harvest among the qualities of this mansion as well. Still, taken as a whole, this mansion strongly implies loss rather than gain, so I would act accordingly. The mansion spirit is Amutiel, and the image is a woman holding her hands before her face, as if weeping. This month, CET and AET time zones have one election each on the 10th of July, with the waxing moon trine Jupiter in aggressive Aries, which adds a go-go-go energy to this election. It's a bit of a stretch with the aspect of the greater benefic and a malefic mansion with a waxing moon, the good sort of cancels out the bad, or vice versa. So I think the best use for this mansion outside of childbirth is to, let's say, get rid of a roommate or a tenant, or help someone move along from a work position or something like that. July's chance at an Al-Nam talisman is actually quite good. The waxing moon in Sagittarius trines Jupiter, ruler of Sagittarius, in Aries, a complementary sign. And I say this as an Aries sun, rising Sagittarius. This combined with the odd but entirely benefic qualities of Al-Nam, home to Asela, a star who brings influential friends, valuable gifts, and the love of respectable women, according to fixed stars and constellations in astrology. This mansion itself is associated with taming wild beasts, commanding men, collaboration, and a few outliers like firmly incarcerating captives and bringing evil to the riches of allies, which sounds like a real dick move, honestly. Such a strange thing to make a talisman for. The Epicatrix, Book 4, Chapter 9, is very specific about the talisman's properties, saying that it is for hunting on land, and the suggested petition says, "All you hunt, let it come to you swiftly." There's a real Beastmaster vibe to Al-Nam, which could make for some interesting experimental talismans. More practical applications, though, can work with the metaphor of hunting and finding, with anything really, and also the power to compel men is interesting. The image of this mansion is of a centaur and is depicted by the constellation it resides in, Sagittarius, and its spirit is Kiriel. EST and AET time zones each have one election in Al-Nam, where the waxing moon trines Jupiter in Aries on the 10th of July. The 21st lunar mansion, Al-Baldah, aka the city, is another perplexing mansion because the Epicatrix, Book 4, Chapter 9, describes the function of its talismans to be destruction and depopulation. Heavy stuff. Book 1, Chapter 4, however, says it strengthens buildings, increases harvest, creates profit, and helps you hold on to it, ensures safe travel, and separates wives from their proper husbands. Another dick move. So what then is the theme of the 21st mansion? The image of the 21st mansion is a man having two faces, with one facing forward and the other facing behind, suggesting strongly that this mansion is about looking towards the future with an eye on the past and the transformation that's implied in the transition from one to another. Destruction is a type of transformation. Separating a woman from her husband is an ending and a beginning of something new. Travel and construction change the object from one state to another. Endings, beginnings, and transformations are the business of the 21st mansion. This mansion's spirit is Batn. PST gets one election this month in Al-Baldah, mid-morning on the 11th, with the waxing moon trine Mars on the midheaven, which is likely to add an aggressive force to the already harsh transformational nature of this mansion. It is a trine, so the results will be positive, but martial energy always leaves its mark. This is the perfect mansion for a cord cutting or breakup ritual, or perhaps if you want to emanatize the eschaton. Harness the power of love in the 16th lunar mansion, Fargh al-Awwal, which features a trine to Venus to sweeten the affair. This mansion's image is a woman with her hair unbound and before her a vessel placed as if to receive her hair, which is to say, a woman washing and combing her hair. Grooming represents self-beautification, making oneself pretty, so this image evokes a kind of glamour love magic. In contrast to most mansions, there are very few destructive associations with this mansion. No besieging of cities and so on. This is one of the goodies, where even this month's waning moon doesn't ruin its beneficence. The Epicatrix, Book 1, Chapter 4, says this mansion is good for binding people in mutual love, and Book 4, Chapter 9 says that it is for the creation of love. All in all, this is one of the more straightforward mansions. This mansion's star is Markab, and its spirit is Tagriel. PST and EST each get one election in this month on July 15th, with the waning moon trine Venus while on the ascendant, a little after 9 p.m. One of my favorites, the 28th lunar mansion, Batn translates to the belly of the fish, meaning the constellation and sign Pisces. It is known as a mansion of abundant prosperity, and is another entirely benefic mansion that even July's waning moon cannot dampen entirely. The Epicatrix, Book 1, Chapter 4 says to make images to increase merchandise and harvests, and to travel safely and cause peace. It also mentions destructive actions like besieging cities, but these are, of course, victories for the attackers, and sacking a city meant confiscating its wealth. Book 4, Chapter 9 says that a talisman of the 28th mansion is very specifically for bringing fish together in one place, so that you can catch the fish and thus take advantage of the abundance. Like Al-Nam's hunting talisman, this is a way to secure wealth in a living universe. The mansion's image is simply a fish. Its star is Marak, and the spirit of the mansion is Amnixiel. CET and AET get one election each on the 17th and 18th of the month, respectively, with the waning moon trine the sun on the midheaven. On the last day of the month, we return to the 13th lunar mansion, Awwa, aka the Wings, for an even better opportunity to make a talisman for erotic love or stimulating growth. The virgins, Virgos, wings are the ones to which this mansion's name refers, though this mansion's nature is decidedly sexual. As I already mentioned, the big dick energy of this mansion is also suitable for prosperity magic and gaining favor from important people and other side benefits of sexual attraction. The mansion's image is a man desiring to couple with a woman, and interpret that as you will. Its star is Zavijava, and its spirit is Jezeriel. PST and EST get one election each in Al-Awwa, mid-afternoon on the 31st, with the waxing moon trine the north node on the midheaven. And EST time zone gets an additional sextile to Venus to further sweeten the deal. That concludes the July 2022 Lunar Mansion Magic Guide. As always, I have linked the presentation you've just watched in the description below the video, and at the back of that presentation you will find a resources section with various helpful links, including my own quick start guide to working magic with lunar mansions, links to tools and materials on Amazon, and the notes that I take on the electional opportunities for each day of the month, including some elections which didn't make the cut. Thank you for watching this month's Lunar Mansion Magic Guide. I hope you enjoyed it and found a useful election or two, or at least learned something new about lunar mansions. If you liked this video, please remember to click like and to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss my next video. I also put out articles regularly on my Substack at postmodernism.substack.com on topics like astromagic, dirt sorcery, divination, magical history, and practical enchantment of all kinds. So subscribe to me there if you're looking for more in-depth magical content. And if you have any questions or comments, please say hi on social media. I'd love to hear from you. And you can find me online at Twitter and Instagram as postmodernism. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.